teachers, but everybody is happy. That was an intervention that worked because this kid wasn't drawing nude because he wanted to piss the teacher off. However, that was a carrot. Because once you know it has power, well, you keep doing it. And he was really good at it. That wasn't a problem. But because he was good at it, he wasn't working on anything else. He wasn't working on any other form. And so a lot of classical paintings, if you've noticed, there's a lot of drapery, a lot of fabric, a lot of other things. And so in fact, the teacher was just stuck in her own little realm. She wasn't a bad teacher, she just didn't know what to do. And so I said, look, let's take a look at these things. Let's say the elements of paintings you want to teach. Let's do one element at a time, and nudity is part of those elements. Combine them. So he gets to do his part, you get to have other parts that, trained in the classroom, and everybody was happy. This kid settled down. You don't need to have giant levels of intervention. And all we wanted to do is for him not to be asleep. My only goal was for him not to be asleep and disruptive to the class. That's all. Right? Once you get him collaborating, then it worked out just fine. Once he got himself engaged, because he was a very good artist, otherwise. And the teacher was thankful because what she was doing is she was being stuck. She knew, much like yourself, she was thinking, well, I can't allow students to be running around drawing new things. That's inappropriate. She was worried about how the administration was going to respond. I can't be allowing these kids to be making movies. And so she was stuck in behavior management, as opposed to conceptually kind of bringing this child into the art form. And she was thinking, well, I have this whole lesson plan. What am I going to do with this? Throw it all out and start all over again? Don't want to do that. So she did not know exactly how to accommodate this. This is just a matter of accommodating what a kid is trying to do and then moving it forward. And every month that she was more engaged with him, he would come up with new ways of provoking her. She would tell her that he wanted to be a stripper, a male stripper, and on and on and on, because he knew that she was going to get her goat. So I talked with her too. It's not that important. Whatever he says, you got him for another month and a half. Live with it, and you can deal with this. And she was empowered. Children are not the only subject of empowerment and intervention. Sometimes teachers are. Just like that gym teacher. We had to take it aside and say, what the hell are you doing? What you're doing is called bullying. Stop.
Well, isn't one of these things that they ask you to do as a parent? I mean, they recommend for you to do as a parent, work with your kid, work with what he likes to do. Yeah. And, to bring him in, interest into other things, and blah, 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 blah.
Yes, absolutely. This particular teacher was not a bad teacher. She was a lovely woman. She was a great painter. And it wasn't as if she didn't want the kids to learn, but she felt constricted by her ideas, much like what you brought up, Jill. Oh my God, am I going to be sued if I allow this child to... what if somebody catches him with these things? It's going to be my class, something that I haven't made. So it was really hard for her to get herself beyond that and incorporate him into the entire lesson. So keep your objectives in mind. What do I want this child to be able to do? And if we have tried that several times and haven't come up with anything, then we need to go to that special education if it's a participation. But if it's class, teacher, or subject specific, we've got to do something about it prior to the special education. All right, we're going to go get the pizza. I think this organization or this level of emphasis will be more helpful to you guys if you're going to go out there and teach art. So, cognition is not one of those things. Where cognition is important is this. This is what cognition is. The ability to pay attention to information, interpret it, integrate it with existing knowledge, and recall it. Right? So essentially it is this. What's that? Really?
Drawn cherry.
Nobody said a cow. Nope. Well, maybe a guitar.
That's a squiggly line. Could be a peach.
Right. I mean, pretty much, you have to take this information in visually. You have to recall other things. You have to interpret it, put it in context of everything else you know, and say, it looks like apple, cherry, whatever. And the more information you have, the better you can interpret that, right? A little better? do that again.
You're on a different page.
Am I on the wrong page again?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Let's see if I can erase without killing you. That help? Okay. Essentially, what I'm doing with your mind is I'm asking it to think. I'm asking it to take information, analyze information in context, and create some new ideas, or come up with old ideas. Okay. So in order to get this done, you need to pay attention. We need to have memory. And the sooner you do this, the better, or the faster you do this, the more, quote, intelligent you are, right? So those of you who came up with all different alternatives when the original picture was this, you said cherry, apple, could be peach, could be a whole bunch of things. That's a sign of intelligence. Why?
You're interpreting it in multiple ways.
You're interpreting things in multiple ways. You can come up with a variety of options that it goes through. That is cognition. Now, how do you go wrong in your cognition? What can be a deficit in your cognition? If you've never seen a cherry, could you even conceive of this as a cherry? No. If you've never seen an apple, can you conceive of this as an apple? So exposure is a determinant of cognition, right? But what about if you would see a kite that looked like that? Would you add that to your repertoire of answers? Be another option. So the more exposure you have, the vaster your intelligence becomes just by way of amount of information that's given. That's called fluid intelligence. Fluid intelligence is the part of your intelligence that allows you to add to it or remove from it. Then there's a part called crystallized intelligence, which is the stuff that you have just genuinely. Like your attention and memory is more innate, is more constant than the amount of information you have. The amount of information changes. You go to school, it changes. A 2-year-old has a different level of fluid intelligence than a 20-year-old. Just the level of information changes. Attention and memory changes less abruptly or less grossly. It's much more stable. Regardless, the two of them have to go together. So I'm going to give you a question I want to answer. Why is it a bad idea to scream fire in a theater?
Because everyone will get up and run.
Say again?
The relationship.
The relationship that people have to that term and
Your reaction to consequences against the reaction that you've been conditioned to do.
nobody here says it's a bad idea to say fire because there's no fire. Why are you laughing?
It's funny because it's really, really obvious.
Right? Exactly. But does it seem like a dumb answer?
Yeah.
Right. So, fluid intelligence takes obvious answers and expands upon them, gives them alternatives. So, a 4-year-old, if you ask a 3-year-old to count to 5 backwards, what do you think will happen?
Nothing.
No, something will happen.
0.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because to him, backwards has only one connotation, that. It's simple, it looks stupid, but in fact for that age, it's not that stupid. That's all he knows. Right? So fluid and crystallized intelligence has changed on the basis of how much exposure we have, and then what our innate intellectual function is. So if you're born with Down syndrome, good example of that. Your intellectual function, your ability to learn new information is sometimes limited. And so your crystallized intelligence is limited. Therefore, it limits your fluid intelligence. If your attention is limited and your memory is limited, Can you learn stuff well? No. That's all. So you see the relationship between the two? So you can go crystallized intelligence low, and it'll be difficult to learn. And when you have difficulty to learn, the rest of your intellectual functioning is also impaired. But can you have excellent memory, excellent cognitive capacity, good crystal intelligence, but limited fluid intelligence? And if yes, how? You can have excellent memory in crystallized version, right? Another way of thinking about it is learned versus innate intelligence. Innate ability versus learned ability. Can you have excellent innate ability but low learned ability? How? What circumstances?
Well, if your fluid knowledge is based on your exposure to the world, you could be an incredibly intelligent person, but if you were raised to be feral, it would be irrelevant because you have no exposure.
Or the type of exposure you have isn't being tested, right? That's another issue. Yes. And then I'll come to
What about if they have like short-term memory issues? I mean, people with short-term memory loss issues. I mean, they remember a lot of things from long ago, which means that they can like get by and they can do a lot of things. But it doesn't mean that they're stupid. They
Right.
just don't
But their
remember.
immediate learning becomes impaired, right?
Is that similar?
Well, crystallized, remember, crystallized is in the sort of memory of attention. So if your attention and memory is impaired, you're going to have a more difficult time expanding your knowledge base. But if you've expanded your knowledge base till age 50 and then you have a stroke and suddenly your memory and attention is gone, then you're not going to gain from that. You're not going to learn from that, right?
I just want to make sure I understand the question, which is you do have crystallized intelligence and
Yeah.
memorization, but you have trouble with fluidity, right?
Correct.
That can happen crystallized intelligence is really just memory based as well. That's just absorbing information. That's an example of savants. They take in a lot of information and they memorize it, but they can interpret it or adjust according.
They can't process that information properly.
Right.
And that's a very good example. Right. Savants have a lot of crystallized intelligence, but very limited fluid intelligence because it's not applied to things. So 2 plus 2 is? 2 plus 2 is? Everybody agrees 4. All right. So 2 slices of pizza for you, 2 slices of pizza for you is? 2 apples and 2 apples? See, you took that very concrete knowledge and you applied it to many, many things. Now, if I had said 2 apple and 2 apple, and you'd never been exposed to apples, you'd say, what's that? You would know it's 4 something, but you wouldn't know what that is.
Or whatever.
Right, 4 of whatever you said, exactly. So it is the idea that you have to take what you have innately coming to you, but you have to expand upon it so that you can use it well. So I'm going to test that for you right now. Ready?
It is real black.
Oh, because I have this. It's all right. So I'm going to get some. Let's see how well you do this.